good morning, and welcome back to the Kristin Omdahl Show. This is episode 921, and we are here live in Southwest Florida in my backyard, my beautiful tropical backyard. I'm Kristin Omdahl, and I'm so glad that you're here. If you are joining me live, please say hello. Let me know if you're crafting this morning. Let me know if you have questions for me. I will be doing a quick demo on the Addi Turbo machine today. Hopefully you're interested in that. If not, I have thousands of other videos here on my YouTube channel. If you'd rather watch one of those, that's okay too. Hi Judy and Steffi and Grace, Patricia, Joe, Lori, Thea. Good morning everybody. Hi Lisa and Grace, Judy. Hi Brenda and Lily. Good morning everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to my show. I'm so glad you could be here. Sitting in a different part of the lanai this morning. I know, hi Wendy. This time of day the sun's pretty harsh where I've been sitting in that chair and it's been blowing out the colors. Hi Carrie and Gail and Angela, Donna, Colleen. Good morning. Good morning everybody. I am wearing the Chantilly lace vest this morning in Be So Fine yarn, and I'm also wearing the Kelly earrings, also in Be So Fine yarn. For those of you that will probably be asking what I'm wearing. Hi Karen G, good morning. Hi Carrie, good morning. Is anybody crafting so far today? Hi Donna. Hi Sharon. Judy. Judy's sharing a link to the patterns for what I'm wearing today. Oh, I've got my scrunchie on my wrist too. I didn't think my hair was going to last that long out here. Excuse me. So if my hair doesn't last, I will be putting it up. When my scrunchie is not in my hair, this is the scrunchie I made with Be So Easy yarn recently. It is there's a sun glare on the lens. No, there isn't, Angela. My camera is damaged on my phone, unfortunately, and so it's a permanent glare there until I get my phone replaced. There's going to be a minor glare in the corner on my phone, so sorry about that. I wasn't sure what it was for a while, and it turns out I believe it's a little bit of damage to the lens on my phone. Nope, you don't hear wind, you hear a fan behind. I'm afraid Marlon has borrowed my old traditional fan with a very long extension cord this morning. Excuse me. That's right, you know, things happen, and all you have to do is just try to keep going, and sometimes things don't turn out the way you plan, and you just have to have plan Bs. That's just the way it goes. Carrie got a new phone yesterday. Well, that's exciting. Yes, you do have to figure it out. I'm going to show you a couple of things. Carrie can't hear me over the fan. All right, well, I guess we'll back the fan up. If it's too much, I guess I'll turn it off and just be hot. Okay, can you hear me now? Thanks, Judy. All right. Okay, so I said that I was going to give, and so if you want to see more details about what I'm wearing, you can find so many more photos at the links that Judy's providing. There's video tutorials and charts and written instructions for everything that I'm wearing, whether it's the Kelly earrings, the Chantilly lace vest, or the scrunchie, hair tie. All of that's available, so I'm not going to back up and show you more today. There's plenty of photos and videos to see already. I would like to dive into what I came out here to show you this morning, and that's how to take your piece off the Addi machine. So turns out that in the videos and tutorials I've done previously, I've shown you how to set it up. I've shown you how to wind it through, but I did not show you how to take it off smoothly. I did show you a quick way to take it off, which actually takes more work to give a professional looking finished product. So what I'm going to show you today is how to manually take each loop, each stitch off of their hooks in order, and doing it this way gives you a much more professional finish. So, and if there's time, I have some other projects that are soon to be released that I can share with you, a little sneak peeks, but I'm not sure if we'll get there or not. Depends on how long this takes. So let's see what we can do about getting this camera bent down properly for That's not very good, is it? There, that's a little bit better. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm to the end of my ball, and I'm going to thread the rest of my yarn onto a yarn needle first. This is one ball of Be So Vivid yarn, and it's for making one of those cowl scarves that I've showed you. We did one in each of the 15 colors. It's called Callie Mae. You can find that pattern on my website. You can also find the rest of the video tutorials on that pattern page, as well as here on my YouTube channel. So when you're ready to finish this scarf, you want to remove it from the threaded holes of the machine, and see how these hooks come up as we're going. As the hooks come up, you want to pull the loop of yarn that's on the machine off the machine. See, are we going to go around first? Let's see. I'm confused now. What did I do? Okay, so as we go around, and pull them off, then I can pull the loop off of the machine. And so as we come to the next stitch and it pulls it off, see, because we're not stitching anymore, so we're actually unraveling it. And as that last loop comes off the hook, we can then manually pull it onto the yarn this way. Can you see the actual loop as I'm doing that? See if I can get it a little bit closer. Are we closer now? Yes. Okay, so as I pulled, I'm better off doing this with my right hand. I'm doing it left-handed right now. Okay, so we're gonna manually turn it one more time so that the loop comes off the hook, and then as it comes off the hook, we can thread it right onto the yarn. So this is doing one extra revolution after we pull the yarn out and stop knitting. See how nice and smooth that goes? Okay, I want to bend down, make sure that there aren't any questions. Are there any questions about what I'm showing right now before I keep going? Can you see it just fine? Can you understand what I'm doing just fine? Yep, Thea says she understands. Okay, great. Lisa understands. Great. So is this helping you? Judy says yes. So is this giving you more clarification from the last time I showed this? Hi, Lori. Melanie has no questions. Wonderful. All right, well, I'm going to continue and work all the way around because I want to show you what I'm going to do with this once we can get it off the machine as well. This is actually quite relaxing too. There's something, I don't know, a little bit relaxing about just moving this wheel a tiny fraction at a time to just get one loop prepared. And because we're just working through the loop, we're going to have the ability to very smoothly be able to cinch this whole tube together. Yes, there are other methods, obviously, Doris, and that's fine that you like a different method. There's methods using waste yarns. There's all sorts of, I mean, just like there's so many different ways to knit and crochet by hand, there are so many ways to do things on a machine as well, definitely. And you can use You can study whichever method you like, and you can use whichever method you like. Sometimes different methods are better for different projects too. There might be a method that works better for a different project. For this particular project, because we end up cinching the cast on and the bind off edge together to create the tube, it ends up working out really well to bind off in this way. But yes, there's definitely reasons to use waste yarn for other projects. And if that's what works for you, great. How many hooks are on here? There's 46 hooks. It's also written out in the pattern as well. And I do give you the equivalent for what to do if you wanted to do this particular cowl by hand. You would want to cast on 46 stitches in the same gauge, and I was able to get the same type of a gauge with a 6mm set of knitting needles. So if you wanted to do this manually, you could. But yeah, this is the 46 needle machine, I believe. That's what my memory's telling me right now. All right, we are coming to the end here. Very exciting. Yeah, good. I'm glad that someone brought up the point that they use a different method than I did. You know, anytime you watch me do something, if you do something differently, it does not mean that one of our versions is better or worse than the other. There are so many different ways to knit and crochet, so many different ways to wind yarn, there's so many different ways to untangle yarn, there's so many different ways to make something, block something, wear something, style something. There is no wrong way to be creative if you are happy with the results you're getting. And the reason why I always say if you are happy with the results you're getting, because if you're not happy with the results you're getting, then you might want to experiment with the way other people do things, right? But if you're happy with the results you're getting, it looks like 2 of these had popped off as we were getting started. Okay, I'm gonna move my camera now so I can show you more things. That's great, Doris. She made a Be So Vivid brimmed hat on her Addi machine. That's awesome. Okay, there, that's pretty good. I believe this machine is too big for knitting socks, but there are other machines that are made in the size for making socks. Yes, Marcia, every method that you choose in making anything that you make is you as the maker's own signature. That's a very nice way to put it, absolutely. Okay, so now that I have all of my stitches thread onto my tail, I can simply cinch it closed. Isn't that so nice? Look at that. Okay, so there we have it cinched closed. And once you cinch anything, this works if you were cinching a hat or any other type of a project. You simply want to secure it with a knot and thread it to the inside. So now I'm going to take my tail and thread it through to the inside. Well, hi, baby Bjorn. Can you see a little tail here? I have a little helper. Hi, baby Bjorn. You come to help Mama. Thank you, sweetheart. Okay, so now I threaded it through the hole to the inside, and I'll weave it back and forth a little bit, maybe tie another securing knot back here. That's optional. You do the way you want to do it. Some people are very adamant about no knots in their knitting and crochet, and that's fine. If you are confident in your weaving in skills, it's perfectly fine. If you're not so confident in your weaving in skills and you prefer to add a few knots in there, that's fine too. Like I said, there's no wrong way to be creative as long as you're happy with your results. There's a lot of freedom in that too. We live in a world where people get compared to others so often that anytime we can feel okay being unique in ourselves, good, bad, and the ugly, there's a lot of freedom in that. Okay, so I've woven in my ends back and forth. Couldn't find my crafting scissors. Of course, I have 1,000 pairs, so I had to pull a pair of kitchen scissors instead. Excuse me. If using Be So Fine yarn to make this scarf, what size needle would you recommend? I would recommend using whatever size needle you're comfortable using. I mean, are you looking to do the same number of stitches or get the same gauge or get the same size? It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to get the same size, you're going to do a lot more stitches on a smaller needle. If you're trying to get the same gauge, you're going to get something that's much looser with a bigger needle. So it depends on what you're trying to do, because you're trying to go from a number 4 worsted weight yarn to a number 1 fingering weight yarn. So you have to decide, how are you trying to do something like this on Be So Fine yarn? Or are you asking about doing it on the machine? Like, I'm not sure what you're asking. Okay, so now we'll come back to our beginning, and this is really interesting when you don't use waste yarn on the machine as well. You can cinch your stitches from the cast on edge the same way we did the bind off edge. So like I said, there's pluses and minuses to everything. Yes, could you do this with waste yarn and do something different? Yes. Could you, but if you're going to do this in a project exactly like this, where we're going to end up seaming these 2 cinched ends together, it is way easier and quicker to not use waste yarn and just cinch both ends and then sew the 2 ends together. And we'll be covering it with that pretty crochet scarf anyway, so it really gives us a lot of flexibility for covering up these 2 cinched ends. Also, if you weren't going to cover them up with a crochet flower, you could cover it up with a brooch, you could wrap another piece of yarn around it, or you could just do a really neat job of cinching these and you'd be fine as well. So once this one is cinched, we'll put our yarn needle on it and then sew the 2 pieces together. Or we'll cinch this closed and secure it, and then use this tail to sew both ends together. And you could still use this tail again because it's a little on the longer side. Well, yes. We've got a baby here that's asking for attention. Oh, I don't suppose you can see him. Let me bend the camera down a little bit. He's begging for attention. Oh, he says, you don't need to do yarn. You need to pet me. Baby Bjorn. Who's a good boy? Sorry guys, I had to take a little kitty break. You know when they look up at you and they're like, he puts his paw, he goes, hello, I'm right here. Like, oh yeah, we gotta take a little kitty break for that. I know, what a cutie. Oh, are you being so sucky that I could lift you up and really show? Oh, who's the baby? Tina's asking about the vest I'm wearing. Judy's posted a link to it in the live stream. It's called the Chantilly Lace Vest. It's on my website, and it will be linked again in the show notes. Oh, see, I told you he needs some loving. Oh, this will never get old, that my babies like to be held on their backs and held like babies. Oh, this is such sweet therapy for me every day, that I get to hold them like this. And I get to feel their purring on my chest. Uh-oh, we have a jealous kitty behind me. Oh, excuse me. All right. Are we good now? Can we get back to demoing? Okay. I'm gonna sip of water. Okay, Lori says not on the machine. So, okay, so Lori, I still need to know, you want to do the Be So Fine yarn in this scarf, so maybe you're looking to do it in an appropriate gauge for Be So Fine yarn. So what you would want to do is look at this pattern. I forget what the dimension is on the scarf, but let's say the scarf, if this is 8 inches, I'm going to guess that the scarf is 16-inch circumference, and I'm going to guess that this is about 2.5 or 3 inches, 2.5 or 3 stitches per inch. Let's just, for a round number, let's say that in Be So Fine yarn, you'd want to do that same circumference with a 5 or 6 stitches per inch gauge. you would want to do the math. If you want a scarf in this circumference but in a thinner yarn with a thinner yarn appropriate gauge, you would multiply your gauge, stitches per inch, times the number of stitches you want for the circumference of this. So let's just say that let's say it's going to be 6 stitches per inch. Let me pull out a calculator, because I'd like to help if I can. Let's say, and I'm just guessing because I don't have any of the information in front of me, but let's just assume that this is a 16-inch circumference, and let's assume that you wanted to do it with 6 stitch per inch gauge. Then instead of 46 inches cast on for this, you would cast on 96 stitches to do the same size scarf. Does that make sense? And then you would work the number of rounds to get the same length, and it would be absolutely gorgeous. This would be beautiful in any weight yarn, and the math that I'm explaining to you right now is how you would do that for any weight yarn. What if you wanted to do this on Be So Easy yarn, number 5 bulky weight, or number 1 fingering weight, or number 2, or number 3, or the number 4 like this? To do the number 4, it was 46 stitches. To do something at a similar size but different gauge yarn, I can't understand what you're saying, Tina. Sorry. You would just want to cast on the appropriate number of stitches for that gauge to get that size circumference. Does that make sense? And I'm talking in general, not in specifics, because we don't have any particular gauge specifically to mention right now. If somebody wants to give me a specific gauge to show you how to do the math, I can. So I'm just going to wait and see if there's more questions. And Tina, I don't understand your question. You'll have to rewrite it. Sometimes I can read typo and sometimes I can't. And just for this particular one, I can't understand what you said. Whoops. Okay. Yep, there is a slight halo on the screen. Okay, so now I have my 2 cinched ends here, and so yeah, she could have meant the halo of the yarn or the halo on the screen, and with the typos afterwards, I just have no idea, no way to tell what she's asking. Yes, the yarn has a halo. It has a beautiful, subtle halo, and yes, my camera has some damage. Okay, so then you want to take these 2 pieces and sew them together, butting those 2 cinched edges right up to each other. Hi, Tina. Good morning. And if you're using a separate piece of yarn like I ended up doing, I cut the yarns by mistake or not thinking. I do that all the time anyway. Having the 2 ends to use as tails, for sewing the flower on is really helpful too, because I feel like the flower does need more than one set of tacking down. You want to tack it down in a couple of places, and depending on how floppy or secure you want your flower to be, you may want to sew your flower down in multiple places, including in the petals. So then you're just going to sew back and forth around these 2 openings. And depending on what you're covering it with, you can be super particular about sewing these together, or you could do a really quick whip stitch. It doesn't matter if you're going to hide all of this. If you're going to see it, you would want this to be pretty neat. But look at how neatly they come together. They do come pretty neatly together. Great, Steffi. I thought it was going to be helpful to see this come off the machine. I did. Wow, and it did take up most of our time. I had a feeling it might take up longer than I thought, especially with a little kitty distraction that always takes up some time too. Okay, so I've made it all the way back around. I've got my 2 tails here. Oh wow, you can't see what I'm doing now. Well, that's not very good. But once I came back all the way around, I tied my 2 tails together, and now I have the ability to use those for tail. You're fine, sound good. No, I do not have COVID. I have allergies and I have congestion from my postnasal drip, but thanks for asking. Anybody have any other questions? Does anybody have any other questions? I did want to point out that I have finished my tree skirt. Just have to weave in the ends and add some finished pieces, and then I'll be able to release this pattern. That took about 17 balls of Be So Scrubby yarn, and then I will be releasing the Layla sampler pattern very soon. This is in 5 colors of Be So baby yarn, 2 balls each. And all right, I don't see any other questions, so I just want to thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed spending a few minutes here with me. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of the Kristin Omdahl Show. Bye-bye.